We're going to start this episode off with a moment of silence. Trevor Scott Ivan White, my brother. From New York to Boston College to Baltimore, your impact was felt and will continue to be felt. Gone far too soon, but never forgotten. R.I.P., my brother.
Alright, what's up, Bear Planners? We're back with another episode talking about the subjects that matter to you and to us. Love you guys, and we're back for another one. Yay!
Hey, let's do it.
Right. Alright, so we're going to start off with the first topic of the day. You know, it's been stressing a lot of people out, me included. Yeah, man, we're going to go over with the subject of Roe versus Wade, and let's get into it. Like, what are your thoughts on it?
It's bullshit.
All right, well, that wraps up this topic.
Right. Universally, everybody hates it. Yeah, I mean, universally.
Not everyone.
Yeah, that's true. Not everyone. Everyone's favorite uncle, Uncle Clarence Thomas, seemed to.
Bruh.
All right. We'll keep it in order. So we'll reserve the thoughts on Clarence Thomas because that's a whole nother deeper subtopic. But I guess I'll kick it off. Thoughts on it. Generally speaking, I think that I find when someone is so passionate about whatever their beliefs are, such that they have to make it so that everyone else is forced to do what they believe in, a little weird. I tend to find that weird. My thought is, if you are against something, in this case abortion, you just don't do it. But I get that the way they try to excuse it is they say, oh, this is about the rights of the fetus or the unborn baby, and so therefore we must take up this mantle. I don't agree with that, but I generally think that it's regressive, and it the way Alito worded it, he was like, we're giving it back to the states so that they can we can get rid of this division, and all this doing is creating even more division. Because most of society seems to be the majority of society seems to be fine with abortion at some level, but most people want it to be some sort of rules, a limit to it. You can't do third trimester abortions unless it's the health of the woman is in danger. Mm-hmm. But first 20 weeks, seems pretty rational. So I think it sucks to that extent because now you got another 10 years to go back to that. And then, you get into the deeper part of how, Democrats are probably, if history is any indication anyway, Democrats are probably going to lose control of Congress. If Republicans get control, they'll probably go to federally codify abortions being either severely limited or illegal. So
that's what I'm afraid of, that it become a federal mandate that no abortions can happen. Because I actually heard a story the other day. I was listening to the Howard Stern show, and a doctor called in talking about why an abortion needed to happen in a particular instance. So a woman was having a baby and the head was missing from the child, right? She opted to continue to have the baby. Why, I have no idea. But the baby was born with no head, and it died 5 minutes later, something like that. Because the woman had this baby, from then on, I think this happened a couple years, she went into a horrible, horrible depression.
Of course.
Mental illness set in, and now she's living a much more difficult life because she decided to have this baby. Now, in this instance, it was her choice. Imagine if that was a federal mandate that she had to have this baby because of the Roe versus Wade being turned. So that's an unfortunate reality that we are going towards, and it fucking sucks. And I feel horrible for all women out there. You know what I'm saying? I can't imagine being, if somebody said that as a man, that, I had to do something. This was a federal law, or my body, you're telling me what I can do with my body. I feel horrible for women, and y'all get all of our the Beer Playing podcast. You get all of our support because it's fucking ridiculous. And I don't know when the fuck our country has started to become a dictatorship of what you can do with your own fucking body. But yeah, that.
So here's my thing, right? And here's the most frustrating part about it for me personally. And again, I understand I'm coming out with this as a guy, right? So I'm not pretending like I understand that people play from a woman, but one of the things that's frustrating to watch is I really don't even believe that the politicians, believe in what they're doing.
Right.
Supreme Court justices and senators and all of them included. I don't think they believe in it. I think it's just a thing that they feel from the pressure of it. And my thing is, and this is just my personal opinion, I'm like, if you believe in that to your core, then masturbation should be illegal, condoms should be illegal because sperm is alive and you're killing a life. You know what I'm saying? Where do you draw the line at?
Well, there are some people that do have that belief that Plan B, even though the science doesn't support it, that Plan B is essentially an abortion, or things like that. I think it's really tough to like start digging into that because you have a lot of people saying how things should be without even like giving any thought or credence to the science and what the science says.
And that's my thing. Like back when they had the Bible, and cause that's what they're trying to base it on. Like this wasn't a thing. You know what I'm saying? Like they didn't have that research to go to know this is where life starts, where life ends.
But here's the irony of that. There's actually some, I don't know if you call it denominations in the Jewish faith, that feel like it is rooted in biblical text that defines when it's okay to have an abortion and when it's not. There's actually a Jewish group, maybe out of Florida, that's suing the governor and all of them because they think that they feel that the law that they're trying to enact goes against their ability to like freedom of religion, because they believe that the text does suggest when it's okay to have an abortion. There's also like things from what I understand.
They're going to lose that case though. Only because
maybe not. This Supreme Court has been very open to, if it makes it that far, has been very open to like siding on the religious freedom argument. That essentially doesn't matter like what it is, but like weighing like religious freedom holds greater weight. So that might be the new strategy. I don't like that strategy.
But see, I think that was the case, we wouldn't be where we are. You know what I'm saying? That whole reason behind it is implementing Christian beliefs. You know what I'm saying? So that's their foundation for it. So my thing is, if you want to consider the Judaism part of it, you know what I'm saying, we wouldn't even be in this situation. You know what I'm saying? Because there are many, if you're talking about freedom of religion, you know what I'm saying, then abortion wouldn't even be on the table. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason this is a thing now is because they're using Christianity as that scapegoat to put this policy in place.
And their version of it too.
Right.
So.
100%.
And so, yeah, like, so where things are now, you have you have like essentially this stance where, all right, we're going back to the beginning, back to the drawing board. And, when anything like this is made illegal, it creates a black market. Black markets are largely unregulated. You have risks and things like that. There's a lot of other questions now that will be litigated, like, can a state prevent someone from traveling to another state in order to do it? Do they have jurisdiction to prosecute someone who gets an abortion in another state?
Yeah.
The answer, I think, is generally no, but they'll try anyway, which is how this whole thing happened anyway. Yeah. Because some states like Texas and Mississippi said, bump it, we're going to make a law knowing it's against Roe in order to get it to Roe. And I think that is the other issue I have. The case that was being decided on, Dobbs, the question wasn't about whether Roe v. Wade and what's the other case from the 90s? But it wasn't about whether those cases were constitutional. It was about whether the law enacted, the 15-week ban enacted in Mississippi was legal.
Right.
And they just took it upon themselves. It's just once it got to the Supreme Court, the people for the Mississippi side said, hey, they just asked the Supreme Court to consider the constitutionality of Roe. And that, and then from there, like that conservative like majority was like, okay, let's do it. And so like to me, it's also an overreach from that standpoint. Like whether you want to look at it from like just a social standpoint of like, should people have the right to privacy to do what they want, or you look at it from a legal standpoint in the sense of well, this wasn't even the question before the court. Like, they just decided to do it.
Exactly. That's the frustrating part about it too. Like, yo, nobody asked you to come up with this decision. But then when you look deep into it, look who's starting next week. Katanji. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yo, I don't think it's a coincidence that out of nowhere you pass this law because you know she's coming. You know what I'm saying? Now again, they're still gonna have the majority. You know what I'm saying? But
overwhelming majority. And
Yeah.
And yeah, if you want to, and I ain't going to get too deep into the nerd part of like the legal side, but like if you're like Justice Roberts, his legacy is tainted. He lost control of his court up until
tainted, but to who? You know what I'm saying? Because to his audience, his fan base, they gonna look at him as a hero.
Not really. For years, Roberts was the swing vote on the court and the Chief Justice, and so he essentially had the voice of the court in his control. Like the Obamacare decision, I forget what case that was, swung in favor of like maintaining Obamacare because of his vote, and he wrote that opinion. Everyone thought it was done, and he swung his vote. So now that you have those, like, not just conservative judges, but you have 3 Trump appointed judges, Gorsuch, Amy Coney Barrett, and Brett Kavanaugh, like, you have him added on to a Bush-appointed, like, Sam Alito, who wrote this opinion, killing Roe, and you have Clarence Thomas, who was appointed by Bush 1, and so now, like, you have this majority that can always vote 5-4, regardless of what Roberts does. And when history looks at these courts, they look at it based on the Chief Justice. So you have the Roberts Court now. Before that was the Rehnquist Court, and so on and so forth.
Right.
And now Alito, in the case, in his opinion, tried to say, oh, this is only about abortion, but it's not, because the same like legal logic that you use that they use to like justify Roe is the same legal logic that was used in
Ferguson and all these other joints too.
So Plessy was more so saying like separate but equal was cool, but like I don't know if Brown v. Board used that same logic to overturn Plessy.
But it was about the reach of the court and what they had the right to say versus not say.
But the case about contraception, something in Connecticut, uses that same legal logic. Griswold about like the ability to like, essentially love who you love and not have to worry about the state criminalizing sexual acts, like same-sex sexual acts, or the right to marry who you want to marry, because all of them are based on like a legal philosophy. And I know I said I wasn't going to nerd out, but just super quick. It's based on a legal philosophy.
Here's y'all legal lesson real quick.
Yeah.
Called substantive due process. And substantive due process is essentially, so it's substantive due process and like the unenumerated rights. And like, it seems like to me, the person who never went to law school, like the important part is like the unenumerated rights. And all the unenumerated rights is, all right, in the Constitution and in the Bill of Rights, they spell out specific rights you have. So like the right against the self-incrimination, the right to bear arms, the right to free speech, to freedom of assembly, religion, so on and so forth. Unenumerated rights are rights that the Ninth Amendment speaks to that are retained by the people. And then basically the Ninth Amendment was like the anti-federalists at the time said, well, the concern we have with the Constitution is that it doesn't say everything. And we're worried that people will basically say, well, because it doesn't say it, it's not a right. Right. Mm-hmm. And so they said, hey, we're going to add this amendment, the Ninth Amendment, into what became the Ninth Amendment into the Bill of Rights to say, look, just because it isn't here doesn't mean it's not a right. Mm-hmm. And so what people like Clarence Thomas say is, well, there's a standard for deciding what is and isn't an unenumerated right. And abortion doesn't rise to the level, but it gets inconsistent because Alito's argument was, well, it's not an unenumerated right because it's some weird test about like, is it in the history and traditions of the country going back to the 1700s? So based on that look you got, Brady, I know exactly where your brain is going, because let's think about it. What else wasn't in the histories and traditions?
Right, yeah.
Gay marriage wasn't in the histories and tradition. Contraception. Or you could even begin to start thinking about like
interracial marriage.
Yeah.
Which
Clarence Thomas would have to. He would have to. If you want to go back like that, if you want to go back that way, he would be in trouble as far not in trouble, but
he's not going to go back.
Loving v. Virginia, which in
Yep.
his concurrent opinion, he says we need to revisit all these substantive due process cases and list all of them, except for Loving, the one that would potentially invalidate his own marriage.
But yo, and that's the thing, man.
such a dick face.
Yo, oh my gosh, like, and I know certain people that love that man. You know what I'm saying? But even they have to admit, like, he's kind of wild right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and yo, it's just, oh my gosh, like, it's just so many things to me that just is crazy with this whole scenario. You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, you want to follow the law to a T when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying? But then when it comes to giving up Trump's tax returns, you don't want to have nothing to do with it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
this dude, man, he's the worst, bro. Like, he just is. And he's had that reputation even before he became a Supreme Court justice. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, my thing is now, man, it's like, yo, all right, so what we going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? And I hate to say it, but, yo, and I know my man Ben will love this part, but, yo, Biden's the pressure on you now, dog. You got to do something. You know
Ben.
True.
Yeah.
But, yo, the pressure's on you. It's unfair that you in this position. I hear you, but you now got to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? And you got to let your balls hang and pack the Supreme Court. You know what I'm saying? Or you got to do something because at this point, Republicans are doing what they want, when they want, and how they want. So you got to decide what type of man you're going to be at this point.
That goes to the y'all know what we have a script and everything. I'm going to
What script?
I'm going to the next part that I have on here, and it simply says Clarence Thomas is an asshole, and problem with those in Congress is revoking rights that don't apply to them, and that's exactly
For sure.
you know what I'm saying. That's
Yeah.
exactly what you two are keep going back to. It's almost like it's not almost like it's exactly like you're in a position of power, right? And you are a black person. You are a black person that doesn't care for rap music.
Mm-hmm.
You invoke the law that there can't be any rap music played in the country because you particularly don't like rap music. That's exactly what this guy is like, in my opinion. He's a guy that's dictating laws just because it doesn't apply to them. Quite frankly, he doesn't care for them, and that is a direct attack on our democracy.
And again, I mean, my thing is, and you're right, I don't disagree with it, but I always respect it. I always expect a Republican to be a Republican. You know what I'm saying? My thing is, yo, what are you going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, to my standpoint, and I could be wrong, but I feel like the majority of progressive moves that have been made, they've been on the opposite side of that. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, we got to figure out what we're going to do to try to stop that. And like I said, I mean, it goes back to my point of Biden. Like, yo, they showed you where they at. They showed you where
That's
they
true.
stand.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
stop
Yes.
trying to be nice with these people, man. Like, yo, you got to sit back and now you got to do something.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, you're good. I think one thing I was to say, just we're not going to go too politic heavy, I guess, but I think one thing that it's in terms of like trying to unite the two sides, like
Ain't no
That's not
that
that
shit is done.
That's what I was going. And it's not what I mean is like so each. I'm talking about like uniting the Republican base, uniting the Democrat base. Right?
Yeah.
It's a lot, in my opinion, it's a lot easier for Republicans generally to come together because a lot of, not all, but a good amount of them, to me, are just single issue voters. So they only care about certain things, which is, and it's clearly the stuff that's favoring the alt-right, or not fucking with abortion.
Right.
They're known for that, guns, and you know what I mean. But it's a lot easier to unite with on the other side of the left, the Democratic Party, they try to appeal to everybody, and of course, we can't all come together on something.
But they have to.
I mean, you gotta try.
You can't come together with
Exactly.
people who think that they've lost something. You know what I'm saying?
It's harder, but it's a lot. That's why they always. I think because some people on the right, I think they have more single issue voters.
Well,
Yeah.
So that's a lot easier to come together behind that.
But I think Corey hit the nail on the head. You can try to appeal to everyone, but at some point you have to nut up and decide to do to do the thing that you promised your constituents that you would do. And that was kind of the point that I was making in our highly secretive, you will never see group chat. That like the difference between just take the issues off the table for a second. I know that's hard for some people to do, but just talk about like Democrats promised that their people, we're going to do this list of things. Republicans promised their people they're going to do this list of things. We're just talking about at the federal level. Republicans seem to just know how to play the game better, or are more willing to play the game. At least right now, they're winning right now.
Not even that though, bro. Like they already had the strength of numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like Republicans, their message is already established, and it's been that way. You know what I mean? Like even when you look at from civil rights going forward, you know what I'm saying? Like Republicans have always been the majority. You know what I'm saying? Even though the rest of the country may have felt differently,
but the history doesn't bear
office. They always felt different.
But the history doesn't bear that out. So, in the time since Roe, and I can't find it, but in the time since Roe in 1973, what became the law of the land, Democrats. I think if I'm just going off of memory here, but Democrats held the majority in 22 of those last 49 years.
Right.
So they held a supermajority in 12 of those 22 years. And they also had the White House simultaneously in 8 of those years. 2 years under Carter, 2 years under Clinton, and 2 years under Obama. And Obama had not only under Obama did he come into office with the largest supermajority of the 3, he also, one of his campaign promises was to codify Roe. And once he got into office, he said this is not a political priority, but a legislative priority right now. And so that, so to me, there's no excuse. And
no, it is, because I mean, again, when you're talking about Obama's presidency, it was a lot of stuff on the table where you had to put that to the front forefront. I mean, to the back burner.
But to me, because, you can't walk and chew gum. And I'll give
understand, when he was in office, we had a whole recession. We were at war. You know what I'm saying? Like, he was trying to get people Obamacare during that time. So it's not like I can sit back and put all this shit to the side and be, all right, now I'm going to go deal with abortion. Like, you had other shit on your plate you had to take care of.
But when Clinton came into office, you were on the heels of wars in the Middle East. When Carter came into office, you had the oil crisis going on. So
was he in a recession? Then he had to bail out fucking companies.
Yeah, so Carter.
That's all Clinton.
With Clinton, I'm sorry, I will have to look back at the economics, but. So here's and I'll give the disclaimer. I've long been essentially an Obama apologist. You would probably say. So but what I will say, no, I thought Obama was a great president given the things, but that doesn't mean he was perfect.
I'm not saying he was either. 100%.
My thing is this: if you really cared about ensuring these rights, codifying it legislatively was important because it, in some ways, takes the legal reasoning that Alito used in this opinion to kill Roe off the table, because the question now is about weighing federal law versus state law, and it becomes a question of how do you balance the 10th Amendment versus the 9th and 14th Amendment. It's no longer this question of, well, is it this right that's in the penumbra of the Constitution, which is the word that they've used in some of these. Yeah, in the atmosphere, in the essence of it.
I don't know what that. I got an 800 on that SAT. So look, you can't be throwing out words like penumbra.
Look, Siri told
Brown be dropping vocabularies on that joint too.
Yeah, right. Y'all need to.
Right, you know the zeitgeist of today.
Right. The what? The zeitgeist.
T.I. head ass.
I'm done.
The anti-disestablishment. But no, and that's my thing. If it was really a priority at some point over the last 49 years, if it was that important to Democrats, they would have used some of this political capital that they had at the time to make it law. And not only that, but solidifying all these other things like gay marriage, which was solely in Obama's court, because a lot of the tenor of the country shifted as he, running for his second term, said, hey, you know what? I'm cool with that now. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel you, but I feel like the biggest issue we have right now, and it's been an issue going on, is that, they want to blame Democrats for not doing enough, but then they don't want to blame Republicans for the one that's fucking it up. Republicans were the ones that overturned Roe v. Wade. So why we get mad at Democrats y'all should have stopped it? No, how about we fucking get mad at Republicans for doing the shit that they're doing?
Here's why.
Something to stop that.
Here's why. Because we already knew where conservatives and many Republicans stand on the issue. So blaming them for doing the thing that they already said that they stood for it's a waste of time and energy. But so to me, whenever there's an issue on the table, I don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, whoever, I'm looking to the people that say we're going to do this action to get this result, not the people that says I don't stand on that and therefore I oppose it. I get where they stand, and I also get where the people who want to change it stand. But what are you going to do? You're on offense. It's your burden to change it, not theirs. Same thing like if Republicans say I want to lower taxes. If they just stood there and complained that Democrats never wanted to lower taxes and never did anything to lower taxes, that's on them.
But here's my thing. You say that, but then you're not going to give them the power to do what they do. Because then what happens is people get upset like, oh, I'm going to vote Republican. And I'm like, yo, you're empowering the same people that's doing shit against you. But like my thing with that is, it's like, yo, Republicans will fuck something up. And then they're like, oh, yeah, well, Democrats, you should have stopped it. How? That's just like right now when all this stuff was going on, like with the NBA chick that can't come home. You know what I'm saying?
Brittany Griner.
And they're like, well, Biden, why don't you do something? That's not Biden's obligation. How about you learn what the fuck is going on so that you can actually do something about it?
Right.
Or y'all sitting back and they pressing all these voter suppression laws, nobody says anything. Right. You know what I'm saying? But then when stuff happens, they come back, oh, Democrats, I need to do something. No. How about you stop voting for Republicans that are putting this stuff in place? That's equivalent to me of watching somebody get punched in the face, and instead of addressing the person that punched the person in the face, you're going to all the bystanders like, why y'all let that happen? No. He do the fucking punch.
Right.
Deal with the person that do the fucking punch.
But to that, I'll say this: a lot of people will say that just stop voting for Republicans. But it's on Democrats to prove to people why they shouldn't vote for someone or why they should vote. Earn my vote. I don't really care about your party at this point in my life. Earn my vote. Here's what I care about. What you gonna do about it?
Nobody. Here's the thing, though. Reality of it is, if you're not in the majority, they don't care. Why do I need your vote when I got people that are going, that's in Iowa or wherever, going to vote for me? So then here's my code real quick. I'm sorry. This is my last point with this. Because black people always want to do this shit. It irks my fucking nerves because y'all don't get what y'all want. And I'm included in this group.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? But they're like, oh, well, Democrats earn my vote. Okay. You got one that wants to embolden police against you. You got one group that wants to suppress your vote. You got another vote that wants to put all these fucking guns out, these gun laws out that have no interest in you, because when you get pulled over by the police with your legal gun, you're still facing the same fate. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck is going on that you want to vote for that party versus trying to get the other party together? They ain't got this shit together yet, I admit. But why are you going to go with the party that actively represses you or oppresses you versus going with the party that actually has good intentions that can get your shit together? It's like, to me, it doesn't make sense. I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, you're going with the wrong side on this shit. I'd rather sit back and give the people that have good intentions the power, because guess what? When the Republicans get in power, shit is going against you. It's never going for you. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like people just see that power and they want to go with that side. And it's like, yo, that shit is not necessary. Black people always say Democrats own my vote, earn my vote, earn my vote. But guess what? If Democrats are in power, they really going against you. They really going to policies in the place that's going to fuck you up. So why not sit back and try to get the Democrats in power so they can start making shit happen? At least that's going to halfway benefit you versus going against these Republicans that are actively going to hurt you.
So I'll say this. This is certainly, if there's anything, one of the takeaways to this is that this decision in Dobbs that kills Roe has far-reaching implications beyond just abortion.
Right.
And that doesn't minimize.
It opens a floodgate. It really does.
And clearly we could talk about this for hours and hours. But
I guess it's one last thing.
I feel like we haven't.
Oh, one last thing. And for everybody in 2016 that was like, oh yeah, why does it matter if I vote for Hillary or I vote for Trump? Now you got your answer. This is why it matters.
Can you pick up that mic you just dropped?
Yeah.
All right. Any other?
I get it. Listen, I'll tell you. You like to do the part where you say, "What's the takeaway from this?" Right?
Yeah.
My takeaway is Flash 410 for 2024.
I support that nomination.
You know what I'm saying?
I second that nomination.
Have there ever been like a group of homies that's been like? Can we be the first group of homies? Like you got the first lady, and you got can we be the first group of homies?
The first homies in the White House.
Oh wow.
Then they'd be like, yo, no, I'm gonna go to war now. And I'd be like, no, fuck that. They just.
Okay, wait. Vinny would have to be. Wait, you would be the front runner? Is that
no, Vinny be our vice president. Shit,
Nah,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Nah, I want to be the one in the background.
You be the vice president.
I'd be. What's that show? Scandal. I'd be Silas Bean minus killing people that are my friends.
And Mr. Brown, you know, he's good with like handling our money as far as when we travel and stuff. So gotta be treasurer, right?
Mr. Brown be the one to take my hat off from you. I'd be like, yo, they said what? Who the fuck?
Yeah, that's true.
I'm like, no, hear him out first. Like,
that's true.
That's
true.
Let's see what he's talking about.
Cool.
Nice.
I just want to end that real fast on that one topic. Well, that's the one that I wanted to say. But before we get off this too much, I just want to say, just going back to the Roe v. Wade thing a little, everybody did best to just stay safe out there, especially y'all that live in those more conservative states. You know, there's all kind of stories we're seeing now with women, and I just read something about someone there's a couple stories where a woman had ectopic pregnancy.
For y'all that don't know, that's when you have a pregnancy in your fallopian tubes, and having that baby can possibly kill you because it's almost a guaranteed miscarriage.
And there's a story where it's a state where a woman who lives in one of those southern states where they're actually already flipped the switch on the abortion stuff.
They turned it that fast.
They won't.
Yeah, a lot of them had trigger.
They already did it already, and then they won't let her get an abortion. So she basically has to have the baby that may potentially kill her.
And another fun fact, that shit is extra common among teenagers, teenage women. So
right, because
good job
fully. Yeah.
So I think this is. I think our next topic is probably going to go about how much further this can go beyond abortion. But just everybody stay safe out there, and if you have family, friends who need access to this, women's health care. Just do your best to support them.
Well,
there's different causes out there. I can't list them now, but there's definitely causes out there are created for a safe space for women to get access to travel. So there's different stuff. There's little things out there that we can do, but just keep looking at stuff.
And keep in mind,
it can only get worse.
No, you're right.
I feel like it is going to get worse before it gets better.
Yeah. And go ahead.
No, I was gonna say that. Does that take us to the next point? Mm-hmm. Are we going back to the 1800s with this fucking backward ass thinking? Like what? I swear, I tell people all the time, I feel like I'm living in a very, very bad movie. Where the guy from The Apprentice was our president for the past 4 years. We overturned Roe v. Wade. We had a situation where kids, rest in peace to all the kids that died in Texas. And shout out to the parents who went in there and tried to fucking do something about it. And fuck the cops who just sat back, let those kids die, and arrested any parent that tried to go in and save their child.
And the rumor was that the police saved their kids, but they didn't get the other kids.
See, I didn't even know that, and that's fucking ridiculous. But and on top of the United States have been dealing with a pandemic for the past 2 years, and on top of that, gun laws have been changed from 18 to 21, which essentially means you could go get yourself a drink, drive to a gun store, get a gun. And if you have the feeling to kill people, because you all know when you drink, your decisions get infinitely better. So you can go and kill somebody with an assault rifle. If I was in a pitch meeting and told you all this stuff as a movie, you would throw me out the fucking room. But this is the reality of what we're living in nowadays, and it's scary. It's really scary.
But again, it comes down to what are we going to do about it? You know what I'm saying? Like, yo, if you're not going to vote the people off that are enabling this stuff, then we're going to keep having the same thing, over and over and over again.
But it's not even the same thing. It's getting worse and worse.
And right, I feel you, but they're still, they're shootings. They keep having back to back, and I agree, they're getting worse.
So I'll say this, even Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said voting alone isn't enough. And I agree with her to that extent. And I agree with, I don't venture onto Twitter much unless one of y'all send me like a link to something. Right. But
you're doing that most of the time. You're sending
because the links are coming from another group chat that I
but so you're cheating on us.
I'm sorry. I wish it didn't have to come out this way.
Yeah,
but
in front of everybody.
Right. But I agree with that point. And one of the things that I've seen is this was before the Roe v. Wade killing decision essentially came out, but one of Joe Biden's Twitter account tweeted something about voting or what have you, and the consistent like replies from like seemingly regular people on Twitter under that was, "Nah, fam, we already voted. Do something."
Ooh,
because essentially what you're okay, because right now Democrats have the White House, Democrats have both houses in Congress, and by a narrow margin. But here's the thing: what you're telling people, even if it's not the intent, what you're telling people when you say go vote some more is, hey, I know we told you in 2020 vote us in and we'll get shit done, but y'all didn't do good enough. Therefore, you need to vote more of us in. Go back to the drawing board.
Hold on. That's not fair because that's a house.
Future president flash for a test.
Let's not pretend like that works in the House. Everything you said works right for the House. When it gets to the Senate, it gets shot down every single time.
Yes, I agree with that totally.
Hold on, which is why we have these dumbass laws that are going on now that's not going to do anything because those are only laws that can get passed because the Republicans are sitting back like, all right, this bill will let slide. But what you're not going to do is take guns from this side and this side and this side.
I got a question.
Yes.
That's why they're saying vote some more, though, by the way.
Isn't that what the senatorial whip is for? The point of being the whip is you get a little extra bread in your salary in order to get people in line. And Republicans seem to do a better job of that.
But here's the thing, though, and they're going to keep doing it as long as you let them stay there.
No,
Until you remove them, they're going to be doing the same shit.
But the main blocker is Joe Manchin. He's a Democrat.
That's the one thing people don't realize. I want to say real fast, like they're, because I get where a lot of the frustration with the Democrats comes from, truly. But what people don't realize is that they are two specific senators who have literally held back a lot of shit that's trying to really get done, which is Joe Manchin from West Virginia and Kristen Sinema from Arizona.
Right.
So they're pretty much even though they're Democrats in name, they're the ones they're not trying to vote with the more progressive side of the party.
Which is why they're asking for more votes. You know what I'm saying?
Because when you tell people that, it can come off kind of tone deaf. But it's like,
all right. So here's my thing, right? So you want change, right? Y'all want change. We all agree on that, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So then how you want to do that?
I mean, I want my interest, but I
feel you. But all right. So if you want gun change, then how do you get that done?
You have to find common ground.
But that's
which means you're not going to get everything you want.
But we already agreed that when you're doing these negotiations, Democrats always come out on losing end, right?
Right. Yeah. Right.
So we already established that shit don't work.
All right.
So then, what's the real answer?
The real okay. So on one hand, so like Build Back Better. Build Back Better was.
No. We want gun control.
We're gonna get back.
We want to stay on gun control.
Well, I'm talking more broadly like the legislation doesn't matter. I'm talking more broadly about getting legislation passed.
But here's the thing. So the reason I'm saying Build Back Better versus gun control, and I'm not trying to be an asshole about it, I promise you. The difference is they're going to defend gun control a lot more than they'll fight Build Back Better.
Yeah, fuck Build Back Better.
Right, no, but I'm saying like my thing is on gun control, that's what I'm saying. Everybody, as like we used to talk about before, you talk about negotiating with Republicans, they already established that's non-negotiable. So then your only other option is to get them out of office. But if you're not going to do that, then what's the other option?
Or when you have a 50-50 split with the vice president having the tie-breaking vote, you need to look at those two senators and figure out, okay, what is it that you need to take back to your constituents for us to get this done?
Right.
It's a negotiation.
It has to be. Here's
the thing. This isn't some kid sitting on Santa Claus's lap asking what you want for Christmas and then it mysteriously pops up under the tree.
But we already understand.
This is reality. You're adults. You're adults that are paid six figures that all have literally each have millions of dollars in your campaign war chest. Like you are like this is something that you need to put your big boy pants on, your big girl pants, or your big person pants on, and you need to make it happen. If Joe Manchin, because here's the thing: if you were Joe Manchin, would you not do what he did? Joe Manchin.
No, but that's my point.
In the way Democrats have moved in the Senate, they have basically Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema. I'm not defending them. I'm just taking more of a Hobbesian approach. He's doing what benefits him and his constituents the most in theory.
He is.
Right? And so if you're the swing vote, that means you hold, and you know that they can't pull any more votes from the Republican side. That means you're in a position you're in a position where you can negotiate to get more for your interest.
don't think that's what he's doing.
Everyone has a. But here's the thing. Okay, so if that's the case, senators have a 6-year term. At no point in the last 6 years or 4 years, when he since he's been elected or reelected, did you not know this?
But see,
You gotta realize you gotta realize too that he is a senator from West Virginia.
That's exactly what I was about to say. Exactly what I was about to say.
So West Virginia
he has a whole nother dynamic of people he has to,
a more conservative leaning area.
Exactly.
Right. The fact that he even nominated
and that's what I'm saying when it goes to that gun control stuff. He's not
he's
not.
But then that means there's pieces of gun control you're not going to get this time around.
But here's my point,
so you don't sync the entire legislation by including stuff that you know isn't going to get passed because people in your own party aren't going to vote for it.
But here's my point, though. It's like at the end of the day, we have to identify what the end goal is. If the end goal is to actually get change, right? We already know. That's why they're asking for more votes. Because again, yeah, you're technically labeled as a Democrat, but the area you represent is primarily Republican. So we know that you can't pass that because you won't see office again. So we need to get some more people that are going to vote for that. Because again, like you pointed out, yeah, we have a vice president that can have to decide and vote, but if it doesn't make it past the Senate, then why does it matter? You know what I'm saying? So it's like again, the final answer, because at the end of the day, everybody wants the end goal to be changed, right? So if we're going to do that, we have to actually get people in office that are going to suit our interests. And we have to prioritize gun control as doing that. If we don't prioritize gun control, if we don't prioritize that, and we're saying, all right, all this other stuff matters, and we're still letting these Republicans stay in office, then it's going to keep being what it is right now. You know what I'm saying? Your other option is to say, look, this is what I want. If you're not going to do this, then we'll remove you from office. To your point, that's what Republicans do all the time. They're really good at it. We keep like pissing and moaning 24/7 and being like, yo, look, we want this. But then when it comes time to vote, we vote for this other person. It's like, yo, keep that same energy. If you really feel like you don't want guns on the street, or you don't want you want these mass shootings stopped, you want all these guns outlawed, then vote the people in office that are going to actually do that.
To both of your points, the Senate, whatever, House, whatever, is supposed to be working for the people. Right?
In theory.
I'm about to say, we already past that point of stupidity where we see that it's all about own interest and all this kind of crap. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to be a negotiation. It's supposed to be working together. I'm sure it's respected that you're in one party, but we're commonly for the people. We had a tragedy where 18 children died, 19 children, I'm sorry. I think 2-3 teachers, right? Mm-hmm. And you have one side being like, look, let's change these laws. There's obviously something's out of control because this is happening. This is probably one of the worst in recent memory outside of, what was the one? Sandy Hook. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And you have one side to be like, okay, we'll raise the gun laws. And notice how quickly that happened, by the way. We'll raise the age of gun laws. And now they're patting themselves on the back, thinking they've really done something.
They don't. They just had to show they did something because it's an election year.
Right.
They know they did shit.
Right, exactly, right. So, but that's what you're dealing with these people. You know what I'm saying?
But here's the thing, and you're right, and I'm sorry, but the biggest frustration with that is because if we're being real, that's the way it happens to me, or the way it looks to me, is it's like, yo, all right, this tragedy happened, right? Mm-hmm. You got them on the side saying we need to outlaw guns or whatever.
Well, outlaw assault rifles.
Right. You're right. Outlaw assault rifles. But then you have Republicans that I honestly believe feel like something needs to get done. But then you got people like, yo, but then they get a phone call like, yo, I got you elected. I gave you this money. You better stop this shit. And then you got to get on in front of the camera and do this whole song and dance about, oh, yeah, well, you know, guns don't kill people, people kill people, and all these other little sayings that you know is dumb. But you have to validate it because the people that put you there are telling you what to do, to your point earlier. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, Democrats do have the same energy. And one of the things I think we all can agree on is that, yo, Democrats need to get a lot tougher because that's the only way that it's going to get done.
I think that's, yeah.
I just think they need
But people got to support them too, though. You have to support them.
I just think they need to do the stuff that they said they was going to do. They, like Democrats said that they were going to, there was talk about adding members to the Supreme Court, whether you agree with that or not. There was talk about a lot of different, like, very progressive things during campaign season. And at the end of the day, over the last year and a half, what they've chosen is to maintain the status quo by not undoing the filibuster. Like they chose to
Can
work
I
within
just say
these
one
rules.
other thing too? I'm sorry, this is my last part. I'm so sorry about that. But to that filibuster point, I need people that keep telling them to get rid of the filibuster to shut up, because it's all good when you have the majority, but like everybody keeps projecting, Dems are going to lose come this midterm. So if we get rid of the filibuster, we have nothing to stop it.
But
you know what I'm saying? So when they want to put something,
that's fear-based governance.
It's
And
not though.
Here's why. Here's why. Day one, you walk in, they say, "Fuck this filibuster. We're going to cancel it." And then they do the things. They get things passed by 51-50 majority vote or 50-50 majority vote with Kamala Harris as the VP, like having the tie-breaking vote, and they get all these things done. Well, now in July of 2022. You go into the election season with a whole host of wins, saying, "Here's what we've done in this short period of time. You give us not only your vote of confidence, but maybe a couple extra seats. We're going to get even more done." And maybe history still follows itself, and they lose control of the House. But you know what? You know one of the other things that Republicans tended to do during lame duck sessions is stuff like, I think we're going to go ahead and put this filibuster back in place.
But you know why that doesn't? You know why that's not a bad idea? Because when Democrats do something right, they never get credit for it. So I can sit back and say, "Yo, I'm going to fix this. I'm going to give money for that. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that." It never gets publicized, and all you keep hearing, like prime example.
So now we're supposed to feel sorry for them because they're bad at PR.
No, it's a strategy. No, it's this to your point earlier when you're talking about getting rid of the filibuster and maybe history following itself and maybe history doesn't. But the reality of it is, when they do something right, they're not going to get credit for it. So all those wins you talking about are still going to get downplayed, still get put out of, played out of pocket. So when it comes time to vote, people are still going to be because prime example that went by, everything when he first got in office, and he was doing something, his approval ratings first started falling. They were doing polls, and they were like, what is he actually doing wrong? Nobody had an answer. Not one. Everything was, I just don't feel comfortable. I just don't feel confident. The same dumb stuff they went with Hillary, and they're like, well, yeah, but Bill, but emails, but Benghazi. And if you ask these people, half of them couldn't explain what it was.
So
they still voted for Republican that same way, and we ended up where we ended up.
Just going off what he's saying, like, I never even thought about that Democrat thing. That is so, he got out a vaccine to a virus that's been killing people for the past year and a half.
And he gave cities money for it. He gave cities money to start doing stuff in terms of their infrastructure and everything else, but they don't get credit for that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's always spun around every single time.
And the first thing people are talking about, I'm not getting a vaccine because I don't want a microchip in me. I heard that it kills people. It's really... I
bet you if you asked what their affiliation was, you would get a certain answer.
All right, so 2 points to this. One.
I'm sorry, man.
No, you're great. You're president.
One, the credit thing. The credit thing to me is an excuse, and here's why. I know what Larry Hogan has done in Maryland or hasn't done because I hear about it. I know what Barack Obama did and didn't do because I heard about it. So if you have a PR problem, that's a you problem. You need to get that message out there, and that actually segues perfectly into the second point, which is that it's an inconsistent argument because you're telling the same people that your worry is going to vote for the wrong reasons to vote more, but just vote for this person.
Right. Hope that the votes.
You can't expect someone to make an informed decision, but then also at the same time say that they're incapable of making said informed decision, and then lament about the fact that they won't know that you deserve credit for this. It's your responsibility as nothing about being president is fair.
But you know what?
You first of all, not only did you sign up for this unfair job, you raised tens of millions and sometimes hundreds of millions of dollars in order to convince everyone to let you have this job. That is a you problem.
So
and that doesn't matter if it was
hold Trump to that same standard when he was in office, because he
I
did
would say
exactly
that,
what he wanted to do, and nobody gave him a hard time about it.
I would say that the election process has bore out that he was held to that same standard.
Yep.
He was,
but he just didn't care.
He did not leave office because he wanted to. As a matter of fact, that motherfucker's still complaining about how the election was allegedly rigged, even though
people still believe it.
And guess what we got? We got a Capitol riot, and we got people that weren't locked up for it, and he's geared to run office for the second term. You know what I'm saying?
But
did he get held accountable for it?
But am I mistaken that very commission that you're talking about for investigating the riot is the is being run by a democratically controlled Congress. So is it his fault that he's not being held accountable? Because that same commission is the same commission that says that it's unlikely or that we're not going to recommend criminal charges to the Department of Justice. But again, this is the same subcommittee that's that's under the Congress that's currently controlled by Democrats.
But to your same point, we don't know if he's going to get put on charges yet. But also, again, when it comes down to the people that actually want to hear that case in trial, again, it's going to be primarily who? Republican. And who voted for him? We did. So at the end of the day, it sounds good, but he keep putting people in office that don't have our best interests at heart. So then it's easy to blame them for stuff going wrong, but then the people that are actually doing it, we seem to just let that slide. It's like, that doesn't make sense. It doesn't. Deal with the people that are actually doing it wrong, and then we'll go from there. And like the point that you kept bringing up, it keeps coming down to these slim votes, which is why they're asking for votes. And it does make sense that they don't get rid of the filibuster, because guess what? At the end of the day, if we don't win as a Democratic Party, then we can still fight it. But guess what? We get rid of the filibuster for 2 months of power, and then when they get office, we have nothing back to fight it. So it makes complete sense not to get rid of the filibuster, because like we keep projecting over and over, and like every analyst keeps telling you, Republicans may win in this midterm. So it's like we need something to fight it if that happens.
And if Republicans win, what stops them from getting rid of the filibuster?
Exactly. Maybe that's the thing. Then we can fight that. There you go. No. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing. You're right. But if they really thought that they did it already, because they already had the House and Senate back when Trump was in office, right or wrong.
All right. So what's the takeaway from this whole conversation?
Takeaway is pay attention to politics. Stop listening to just to your best friend or your uncle or your daddy's daddy or whoever. Like, find the information out for yourself, see what's going on, and then we'll go from there. And then make an informed decision. If you decide to go whatever party, then I'm okay with that. But at least make an informed decision.
I'm going to tank the pool and say, make people earn your vote.
Yeah.
But that's how we got Trump the first time. Just saying.
He didn't earn anything.
Exactly.
He lost.
Right. They kept telling Hillary to earn
about 3 million votes.
No, you're right. They kept telling Hillary to earn her vote. They kept telling Hillary to earn our vote.
She did earn our vote.
She did. She won the popular vote.
And where she end up?
But she didn't.
And where she end up?
She didn't win the electoral.
Exactly. And what happened?
But here's the thing.
What happened?
So she got partial credit. She won the popular vote, but she didn't play the right game.
Right.
That's the
exactly.
same. But that's the same. But that's
exactly.
the same criticism that people have for Bernie Sanders in the Democrat.
Exactly. So the consensus is people that are earning these votes don't get the spots that they need.
No, what I mean.
So it's like it's easy to sit back and say, earn my vote, but then when you get there, you ain't got nothing to do. You ain't got no power.
I think Hillary would have been the better pick, but she fell short. That's
how though? That's what I'm saying.
That's her campaign problem.
But it's easy to say earn my vote. But then when it comes to stuff getting actually done and policies getting done, we need a different strategy.
But here's the thing. You want something that I have. And while I want something that like I'd like for you to give me something.
But it's you. It's one person. You're not the majority. You don't matter by yourself.
Right.
You the collective.
So tell me again why I should vote for you?
Right. And guess what? At the end of the day, you don't get what you want. I don't get what I want. And we both still getting screwed over.
I mean.
So what's your option?
Ooh.
To know like where like what the
to say I was stubborn, I heard my point, so now I'm still getting screwed over. So I can say I just held my vote.
No, to me it's if I'm acting in my own self-interest, then I need to know what the lay of the land is, and I need to move in a way that's most beneficial to me. So if Republicans win and they have control and they legislate certain things like tax breaks and things like that don't benefit me today, then it's my responsibility, while it may not be fair, to look at that shit and try to figure out how I can use it to my advantage.
It's all cool till stop and frisk come back. And then you could be having that tax breaks and you still getting locked up.
Maybe.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it sounds good on paper.
I gotta say, this is how you know that you really have true friends and brothers here, because you guys have so many different opinions, and I love the passion of the argument. But it's not even an argument; it's a debate, and y'all still look at each other like men. You know what I'm saying? And we'll still be brothers after this.
No, for sure. If any is my
that's what people really need to start doing. We could all have different opinions. We talk about different stuff all the fucking time. You know what I'm saying? We have opposing opinions on stuff, but we're always family at the end of the day. And I really wish that would be injected more into our society,
right?
Where we can have different and y'all talk with intensity, you talk with passion. And you talk with love too, because y'all obviously love this country. That's why you fucking have an opinion about it. But I just wanted to point out that I love that passion. I love that energy. And I feel like you can have that same I feel like we have had that same conversation about, y'all know how I feel about Beyonce. Like we had that same, and I love it. I wish that, everybody can see that this is an example of what America is. You have brothers, you have friends, have opposing opinions on certain things, not everything, but and you still can look at each other like men, and we'll still be friends after this.
And just to add that, I mean, at the end of the day, I'm gonna fuss somebody at Vinny all day, but I know he wants what's best for people the same way I do. You know what I'm saying? I know his intentions are always good. You know what I'm saying? It's my man. But like you said, you can disagree on how you get there, but when you know somebody has the same intentions, it makes stuff a lot easier.
Yeah, I think that's a great takeaway. Like, it's great to have debate and conversation, because honestly, talking to people that may not feel exactly the same way as you do helps you to evolve your thought process and your mindset on things. Yeah. And sometimes you'll learn things that maybe you didn't agree with initially. You thought you didn't, but makes a lot of sense, after having a conversation with someone who actually knows what's going on. And Flash always brings, like facts and stats and all of that to the table. And I think that's super helpful, because it's not just passion and like uninformed opinions.
Right.
So
that's why he'll be our next president. You gotta go. Don't you gotta go against the Rock?
I know,
right.
All right. I love you, man, but
still cage matched out.
You didn't make Hobbs and Shaw, so I don't know.
Obviously, if you're listening to us, today's topic is a little bit more on the serious side, just because we got some real shit going on in this country currently, obviously. So, we definitely want to shine a light on that. I'm here with my friends here. We had a spirited debate, clearly, amongst
we did?
It was a spirited debate, a spirited debate, but like one of us was saying earlier, this is something we need to do in general a lot more. So, you need... I think the one thing that will get this country back together, well, not back together, but what would better the country is just people having more conversations, more uncomfortable conversations.
Say it.
The more uncomfortable conversations with people, on issues you don't particularly agree with. And just like, we need, I think if nothing else, this year particularly, and even with the pandemic and everything still going on, there's a whole lot of other stuff that we didn't touch on that's also concerning. So I just read something about one thing for me. I would say is just real quick. Climate change is the one thing that's keeps been put on the back burner.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something we gotta realize. Like, are we even gonna have a country in 100 years from now? Or, is the Earth gonna get here?
Be Mad Max stuff.
So, there's a lot of things. But
I've never seen that.
The new one was good. The Tom Hardy.
No, I like that one.
We already been going for an hour too long here. So all I'll say is just closing things out, just saying, look, thanks. We appreciate y'all for listening, and I hope that all of y'all who listen to us, if nothing else, you think of just try to pay attention to just I know we don't all like to look at the news, and we all don't like to necessarily check social media trends, and even and it can get depressing. At times to view that stuff, but it's necessary these days. Especially because again we're dealing with some serious shit here, and potentially really dark times possibly. So just stay informed, keep having conversations with your friends, your family. Not just about the fun shit, but you got this. We all need to really pay attention to like serious shit every now and then. I think that's where we're lacking. Sometimes I think we don't really pay attention enough, and we get ourselves in these issues we're at now because it's like you don't pay attention to it until shit gets really bad. And I feel like that's where we are now.
Sure.
Yep.
On that note, bye everybody.
Peace.
Peace.